What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Over Ask. We have a very, very special guest, Jill Biggs. She is a top producer, sold over 360 million last year. And is this correct? You have 25% of market share in Hoboken?
I actually think that I closed $230 million
Uh,
last year.
we got
230.
these statistics
That
from
was-
from Byron Lazine, so
Oh,
you could
so
blame
there
him.
was- I probably have with my pending and sold. You know how people do that? They lump all that together.
Okay.
Yeah, but I sold a lot of property.
You sold a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
we're off to a bad start. These were statistics that I got from Eric.
Yeah, I got them from a rough source.
A
so
rough
that's
source.
my apologies.
Oh.
Well,
Well,
Jill,
no, he didn't. He probably didn't. How would he know?
that's so true.
Right.
I don't
He's
know,
in
I
my
just-
mastermind. I love Byron Lazine.
I just
Oh,
took I took him for his word.
Oh, you know what? But then that's probably what I did close in pending. And I'm telling you what we closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's still whatever. Yeah, that's extremely impressive. So
You know,
can, you,
definitely.
can you do a little intro on yourself? Just sum it up, elevator pitch, what you do, who you are.
I'm Jill Beggs, and I'm in Hoboken, and I have a team, which I have been a realtor for 15 years, and I started out as a bartender in New York City, and I had a baby, and then I needed to not go to work until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I opened a children's clothing and toy store, and I sold it, went to Maui to serve for a year in 2001, came back. I was unemployed, but I had this big database of women that used to shop in my store, and I marketed to them, and they gave me their buildings. So I kind of organically grew, hired my friends, and that wasn't a good idea. But my core group is kind of built on friendship, and there are now 28 of us with 7 support staff, and we have a big market share. So our geography is different because it's vertical living, right? I work in a 5-mile radius typically, and probably half my business is done in 1 square mile. So it's dominating is like where, my sign, my mailer, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a different thing than trying to do that in the suburbs.
So you farm like very specifically?
So every time I sell something, right, I send something out, right? And we're at this point, we sell a lot. So it's just a continuous. So for years, it's been like Chinese water torture, right? They keep getting, and the thing is, I would probably say 50%, right, of my success is due to my hair, right? Ridiculous as it is, it's years ago, right? There was 1 year after I hired this branding company, and they told me to take my picture off my card, use a heavy weight so you seem luxury. And I realized the only reason people remember me is like, oh, there's that woman with the hair. So it's like, I don't have to follow up because you can't really forget my hair because it's big and it sticks out. And during this pandemic, right, well, it's been really weird here. So I've been going out, like I think I had 200 listings in May, and I go on these appointments and I'm wearing like cutoffs, ripped up clothes, but I got my mask on, and I'm telling my kids, nobody knows it's me, right? I'm incognito. And she's like, Mom, because my hair is sticking out. So that's, I don't know, that's pretty much how I got to here.
Is this a hairstyle that you keep up specifically because of the real estate business, or one that you had prior to real estate, or where did this come into play?
Today, I happen to be wearing a pair of hanky-panky underwear where you cut the top off, right? And you wind it around your head to hold your hair up. It's like a style that has been working. But normally when I take a shower, I don't usually wear it like this, but it's been a tough day in real estate today.
Well, it's good branding. I always talk about this I don't know if I've talked about this with Matt actually, but there's this guy that walks around real estate conferences that wears an orange suit. And that's kind of like his thing, is that he just wears an orange suit and everybody recognizes him as the orange suit guy. So it kind of is good to have some sort of branding aesthetic like that. Matt's has the mustache.
Yeah.
It's
I don't.
starting to backfire. Actually, I'm
He's,
getting a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of hate on it.
I get brutal haircuts where it looks like someone took a weed whacker to my head every single week. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, your story is super cool. I mean, you surfed in Maui for a year?
No,
Like
no, no.
that?
I watched for sharks. My husband surfed.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
Two totally different things,
Yeah.
right?
That would be me.
But
I'd be
yeah,
watching.
it was nice. I lasted maybe 10 months, and I decided I hate the beach, right? And I'm like, I'm a workaholic. What the hell? I couldn't find anyone to relate to. Like, people wear flip flops, and I'm a New Yorker, so I was finally every other month while I was there, I moved because I was like, I didn't like the neighbors, right? So then finally, I'm living on Maui, 14 houses down from Haleakala, which is like the volcano, and I'm like drinking during the day. I've had it. So I invited this homeless family over for Thanksgiving, and then they refused to leave. And Christmas came, and I said to my husband, I'm leaving, and you can stay here. And I came back. So thankfully, I hadn't sold my apartment. I had rented it out to these four girls that were having like Animal House. My neighbors hated them, and I took my apartment back. And somehow or other, I had a fourth kid because obviously I was drinking too much and not paying attention. And so, then I had to reinvent myself, and I'm kind of a people person. And yeah, so I became a realtor because, everybody thinks that you show a few houses and people buy something, which we know if we've ever done it that that's not really the way it works. But yeah, but I really liked it, and I kept doing it. And I kind of my first business coach told me my other key to my success was I just outwork the competition. So like I pop up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I make lists. And I've learned, like, my ops manager today said, "Why did you email me at 4:31 this morning?" I said, "Oh, did I hit send?" Right? I'm like, so I have a lot of energy, and I tend to pop up and I work until I drop.
What are you
And
putting on these lists?
list of every single thing that I have to remember, right? Because I
Hmm.
have always like 50 deals happening, and and a lot of things. This person asked for this, whatever. Like, I don't know. I make lists, and I love lists. They make me feel better.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I will say, just from
Nice.
talking with you for 10 minutes, I understand all your success. Your your uh your personality is contagious. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I feel like you have some crazy stories that we could talk for hours.
If you grew a goatee, right,
Yeah.
it would make the mustache better, and I bet you'd get a better response.
You know, I like just the mustache. I like the 80s look. The goatee. So I went snowboarding on a toboggan when I was a kid. Went down a
Uh-huh.
sheet of ice, got a big scar there. Hair
Oh,
doesn't grow. So I got to go either mustache or nothing. And I'm baby
Yeah,
face.
there's stuff you could rub on your beard to help it grow and fuller. And like you could take Propecia and other,
Okay.
biotin and stuff like that. That's how I'm growing this, mane on top of
no, no,
my
you know
intro.
what else you? I because it's COVID, right? And they shut all the hair salons down, right? My hairdresser can't really show up that often. So I am old, right? And I'm trying to keep my shit together. So my hair keeps getting lighter, right? So I'm spray painting it with that stuff that you see on infomercials, at like 3 in the morning. You could do that. Super works well.
Okay, I'll try that. I'll try that. I have a little mustache comb now. It's working well. It's coming in thicker. But hey, this isn't about my mustache, right? So, what I do want to know is, so you got into the business 15 years ago. Did you see immediate success? Was it a couple years until you really started going, or how was that transition when you first started?
So, well, my first, I became a realtor because I came back here. I didn't have a job. This friend of mine came, and I used to live in South Beach, and I ran a bar there. Um, so he came to my house, and he was with me for 6 months, and my husband said he's never leaving. So I signed him up for real estate school, and he became a realtor, and he was having a good time. So like I watched him for like a couple months, and I was like, I could do that. So I got my license, and my first day, I joined him on his team. Well, we were the team. It was the two of us, and he got his first paycheck and had to give me half the money. It was great. So,
Did you have
uh,
anything to do with that deal?
not a fucking thing.
That's
So,
great.
however, right after that, my girlfriend bought a house, and she was forced to use me, right? She bought the highest residential sale that year in Hoboken, and I didn't know anything about anything. It was a real shit show, and he got half that money, so it was better for him. Um, and then so that year, I think, I did probably 20 deals. Like, I'm a hustler, right?
Yeah.
And I had to learn. I think I got my license in like May or June, and then after that it was like a snowball, right? Because I said I had this for 10 years. I had a children's store, and so I had a database, right? And I got a lot of energy. I started reaching out. Like, you can't be a secret agent. I also sent my kids to every different school, right? So I didn't like that. I moved you over here. So, and then I'm a joiner, right? So I got a lot of things going on, and everyone on my team has a different, network. And I've supported every single whatever in town, everyone who has a kid, a dog. I also have a lot of animals, and I'm a big animal nut. I bring my dog to work. It's other people bring their dogs, and it's a little, it's interesting here. But I, I'm trying to think of how, if I didn't have any hard times, all right, when the market crashed, I just helped the poor people. Like, so we have a business that goes from 300,000 to 5 million, right? And it's just, and so when it shifts, we shift, right? This whole COVID thing was hard for me because I went right now today, I'm 35% listing heavy, more than I usually am. And so I had those 200 listings in May because everybody was leaving. And so I'm a therapist, right? And what I really do is I therapize people. I have typically about 35, and I keep cycling through them. So now I have 200 people, and I'm in the backyard of my house drinking, on the phone, trying to tell them, don't jump, it's going to be okay. I know you hate your kids, and you're on a Zoom call, and they're ruining your house. And it was painful. And like, I was a bummer, right? You didn't want to, like, I was fine for them. But if you were my friend, like my friends in my mastermind, they actually, I think, at some point drove here. They did an intervention. I was like, I was losing my mind. And so I had to do something about it. I called up NRT. I work for NRT, and the ex CEO, he's a friend of mine. So I called him up and I said, I'm quitting the industry in 30 days if you don't help me. So he said, don't do it, right? And I said, I need help, right? So he just so happened to call me back like 2 days later, and there was somebody who was used to was the head of marketing during the reorganization after the crash, and he was like not really doing anything. And so he said he'd come and see if he could help me a little bit, right? And so he's still here, and super. He's kind of the yin to my yang, and he is like, I'm a lunatic, and he's like, it's very peaceful. So that has made things better, and I've had to put other things in place to be listing heavy. And I think that's just like, you got to pivot, right? Because if you don't, because there's a lot of people in my town that are hurting, and not doing well. And I actually had a great year. So I kind of turned it around. I was selling houses on Zoom calls. I went out and I bought one of those 3D cameras myself, so I could give it to my assistant so she could go over and hand it if they didn't want to let us in because they were afraid. And so I had people making all these fucked up videos, but I'm walking people, driving them to my landing page and walking them through the house. So I just continued, and it's getting better.
Did you bring your kids to different schools specifically for networking purposes to meet other families, or did
Oh
you
my
have
God, you have
qualms with?
no idea. Yes, I am the
Okay,
worst.
that's
I'm,
genius.
That's
I'm
just genius.
literally, I tell people, you want to do well, get a kid, whatever, get a few kids, different kids you could adopt,
I am.
right? There's lots
Yeah.
of kids,
Okay.
and send them to different private schools. If I was going to start again, I'd go into the city, and because people like to work with people they know, right? That's just how it is, because then they have a feeling of trust. And I think that, I mean, that's the biggest thing when you're genuine and people trust you. They know you're looking in the eye, and you're not going anywhere, and you're going to do what you said you're going to do. And
So
so,
your advice to a new agent would be get a few kids, pluck them in different private schools, and keep moving them around.
yeah, it's
That's new
perfect.
agent
It's good.
advice from
I'm
Joe
writing.
Biggs.
I'm writing this
Listen,
down.
Yeah,
I have
this
a
is
you
nephew.
got to
this is
get
the
them
best
when
advice I've
they're
heard yet.
small, okay?
The
Because
kids?
it doesn't work. Yeah, no. Yes.
Yeah, you
The
can't have a bunch
the
of fucking
people,
high school kids you're bringing to school.
but
You
that's
need-
Yeah,
not going to
that's true.
help you. Don't
Right.
get any of those. You need to get them when they're about 3.5, right?
my
Mhm.
nephew's age. This is
Maybe
perfect.
even 2.5, because it's pretty competitive to get into
Okay.
school. And you gotta make sure they're at least normal, because otherwise you can't get into any school, right? So
Okay.
Right,
maybe
right.
you need them as babies. You have to
Okay.
mold them so that they
I
can
think
behave
usually
well
starts
during
like
the
that, I
interview.
think.
Yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Okay. Well,
But
I think
it has just, it wasn't really intentional. I just happened to have all of these kids. And actually, my kids, like now, one of them, my second kid works for me, which is hard for her, but you know, she's actually changed her last name to my last name so that she can use it. She's super slick. She's
that's
like,
yeah.
this is Phoebe Biggs, Jill's daughter. So, so that's good. My oldest kid is a web developer, and she's forced to do things for free for me also, even though I did pay for her
You
education.
built your own team with your kids.
With your
So not
kids.
only were
Yes,
they lead generation
you
Yeah.
have
tools,
no
but it's your own
idea.
staff. This
This
is
is
unbelievable.
incredible.
Uh-huh.
I think it's
Every
safe
one
to
of
say
those
you're
kids has grown up with like every car I had with TV and headphones, and I'm like, mommy just has to show one more house. So they're
This is-
you know
This is, I honestly think this is the best advice anyone's ever given at all. This, I think
at
you're
least
a
it's
fucking genius.
creative.
It is. Usually we just have agents. Well, we haven't really had
Well,
anyone give us
But
advice.
this is what you just said, Eric. You use the kids to generate leads when they're wee ones. Then they grow up
Because the
and
people
work for
like
you.
you.
Free
And then
labor.
the kids, not only that, I offered my kids monetary incentives. I said, go and get play dates and tell those parents, here's my card. So actually, Phoebe, who I think she was in 5th grade, she got me a listing, and then she wanted the money, right? My youngest kid, the 16-year-old who's now 18, at the time she was 16, she sold the highest condo in Hoboken. This is, whatever, a couple of years ago, because I forced her to do the open house because I couldn't get anyone to work. So they've all been, inundated. I said, I'm going to take you to Mexico. And instead I was too busy. So I took them to Philly for cheesesteaks.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's not Mexico.
That's
not really. No.
You can go
Mango
see
Jack
the-
Cabo or Philly for some cheesesteaks.
go see the Rocky
quite the
Balboa statue
disappointment.
though. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
We did do that.
You would think that's cool.
Yeah, I'm Italian, so that's
Yeah.
very cool to me.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Jill, one other question I want to bring up. So earlier you mentioned you had a business coach. Is this business coach Tom Ferry? Because I know Tom Ferry is your coach, right? Is he your
Tom Ferry is
coach?
my coach. Yeah.
Okay. And what happens in these coaching sessions? How long have you been working with him? What goes on with this?
So you know what? At this point, he's my friend, right?
Right.
But honestly,
He's my friend too.
Yeah, same. He just followed me on Instagram. He's my friend too.
He's our friend, all of
Yeah,
our friends.
He's everyone's friend.
He keeps me kind of grounded. You know what I mean? Like I'll tell him, like, because you can see I'm like on crack. I'll tell him something. He's like, "That's a stupid fucking idea." No, he's like, "You move over there, Dan. Let me talk to you." Right? So, he actually got me from where I had no idea how many deals I did or anything, like at all, ever, to where, you can ask me anything and I might not be the person, right, that I can give you that answer, but I just hired people smarter than me. And so I track everything. And he's been a huge portion of my growth. Just, propping me up, like all kinds of things, like on every single topic, you know, if that makes sense. And yeah.
When did you start using? When did you get Tom as a coach? How far into your
Um,
career?
so I started in 2010, and I started out with Dean Ayers was my first coach. I loved him. He's the one who told me I just outwork other people. So, um, and um, and I don't know. And then I had him, and I learned a whole bunch, right? But he really became my friend, and I kind of snowed him. You can kind of. It depends on the person, right? If you work with them for a while, and you're me, you kind of manipulate people because you know what I mean. Like, and it's not like you have to get out of your comfort level, right? You have to be coachable. Like, I love Tom. Tom makes me uncomfortable, right? I don't want to feel like a failure. I'm
Eh,
gonna I'm gonna run harder, and I'm not gonna be the loser, right? So if you don't get that out of me, and not that many people kind of make me uncomfortable anymore, um, I think that's kind of, I
And
mean,
I know what you're talking about. I've never had a real estate trainer,
yeah, we
obviously.
know. We know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, you know. But I've had uh, physical trainers, and I
mhm,
always befriend them to the point where I end up just hanging out with them during the entire session, where it
yeah,
becomes like a dual therapy session, and I'm just doing like 5 bicep curls, and I just paid $150 for some guy to train me at Equinox. Not that I go there
yes,
anymore, but
right.
it's just like, yeah, you need that trainer or that coach to, yeah, make you feel uncomfortable. I think
You're
that
not,
that
because even
resonated.
though Tom is my friend, right? He's still, right, before my call, he wants my numbers, all kinds of stuff. I don't necessarily do it. I send it over. I'm like, "Okay, answer Tom," right? But I keep like things together, and he introduced me to the people, well, the beginning of my mastermind that has gone on for, I think it's like one of the longest masterminds. And those guys are like my buddies. I talk to them every week, and we steal things from each other. Like, it's great when you're able to really share business with people that are not, they're not in your market, and we have like helped each other. So it's been good. And
Is this the
and I
5 a.m. club mastermind? Is this that
no,
same crew?
this is the
Okay.
East Coast Mastermind.
Got it. Okay. Well, they're East Coast, aren't they? Byron and
Yeah,
Tom
they
Toole and
are.
those
So
guys?
Yeah.
Byron is in my mastermind.
Right.
Byron and Tom Toole and Josh Rubin and Lisa Chinati. I don't know if you. They're all great. J.D. Leonard.
Yeah. We love
Mhm.
Byron.
Yeah,
Huge
we
Byron
love
fan.
Byron.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all love
Yeah,
Byron. Yeah.
Yeah.
we love Byron. Byron is pretty funny. You have to ask Byron
He-
about how he doesn't change diapers.
okay. That's something we'll definitely have to ask him. Um,
Hmm.
you seem.
Perhaps you might want to cut that out because Byron probably is going to slap me in the head.
Oh no, we're keeping
That's
it
the
in for
one thing we
sure.
cut out.
We're keeping it in for sure, just because it's Byron. If it was anyone else, we would have. So you seem quite sporadic. Even your decision to get into real estate was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to get into real estate. When did you really start building out your team, and
Well,
how did?
wait, I'm going to tell you something so funny.
Okay.
So when I told you I sent my friend to realtor school. He started, right? And I got my license. So he brought me to his office, and the broker of his office said she didn't really think I was going to be good because I seemed a little flaky. And then last year, I think we won like Realtor of the Year for the Chamber of Commerce or whatever. And she gave me my little plaque, and she gave a little speech about how she always knew how great I was. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't want to hire me because you said I was flaky? Like,
Did you did you say that in your
Did
acceptance speech?
yeah, you should have
of course
called
I
her
did,
out.
Nice.
but I said it in a nice way.
Right.
That's
When did
awesome.
I decide I needed a team? You were
Yeah, and
asking.
then how did you build that up? Were you like super strategic about the people you were hiring, or was it just like, quantity at first and then you started?
Yeah, besides your
Uh,
kids, who did you hire?
Yeah.
so I hired an assistant first, right? I was super busy, and I used to sit in the computer room, and I can't type for shit, right? And there was this guy behind me who was like 90 words a minute. And I'm like, you don't have any business. Come and be my assistant, because right? So that he started as my assistant. And then after, I don't know, 6, 8 months, I started to give him leads because I was too busy. So then I hired another assistant. And then I just kind of organically grew. I hired my girlfriends that I had met when my kids were little, that had stayed at home. Um, and they looked to me like they needed jobs, and I needed people. And I'm like, I like you, and you live in a brownstone. You're a realtor. Right? So like and so then we kept growing. And at this point I have a really, really nice group, great culture. We all hang out together, and everybody is nobody's killing anyone over money. I kind of have the no asshole rule. Like, you can't come on my floor. Like, I, I kind of stay in my own place, but nobody wants me to come out. If I come down there, things are going to get ugly. So, you know, I don't know. And now we're growing, and it's good. But, you said, one of the two of you just said something before about I was thinking of online dating. It reminded me of how you sell yourself, right? And we're in sales. And we're so in sales. And if you do it every day at a high level, your job is to make people like you. But then you don't like them, right? So you have all these people that are your friends, but you don't like them, right? And it's not the truth. I mean, I actually like everybody, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean I've let you in. But it was really weird because there was a period there where I kicked my husband out. I kind of took him back during COVID because what the hell. But
Nice.
I tried online dating, and I had to tell Tom Ferry, you got to get off my fucking Tinder app. Because like, he'd come up in the feed, him and Christoph Chu. It was just,
Wait, Tom and Christoph Chu are on Tinder?
No, but he has those ads that are like,
Oh, yeah.
you around, and the next thing you know, there he is you're ruining your online dating experience.
You're
And
swiping
Christoph
through Tinder and Tom Ferry's popping up?
Christoph
That is
gets
a nightmare.
cloned, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's never him. It's him, but it's somebody else's name.
Yeah. Why is that happening to him? I saw
It
that.
happens
He's always
to him
posting.
all the time.
You know what?
Look out. You
Jill,
better cut all that out. You better take all that shit out right now.
let's just take the whole fucking podcast out.
Yeah, fuck it.
Jill, do you have any fun ads with your name? I feel like your name, you could do some really fun things, really fun puns with
Good
your
question.
name, like sell big with Jill Biggs.
Yeah, go bigs and go home. Right?
Is that one?
Want the bigs check.
Is that one of yours? Go bigs or go home?
Yeah, it's my tagline is go bigs and go home.
Is it on like
It's on,
like,
I don't know. We use it on
sick.
all kinds of things. Since I'm not the marketing person at the moment, and I am too busy running around, I have no idea, but it is absolutely on a lot of things.
Genius. Dream bigs. We can go on all fucking day.
Biggs in a blanket.
Well, my past client, Biggs in a blanket. That's very
good.
funny.
Yeah, it's genius.
That's
I should be your marketing person. It could be you
Yeah.
and all your kids rolled up in a little blanket.
Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Thanks.
When I started, I used to, I had that partner for a year and a half, and I used to take our heads and I would put them on other people. So like I had, that portrait of with the two of us, come on, it's like
The evolution poster.
farmer.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I like all of those. I had us on Tarzan and Jane. I put us inside a kiddie pool with a camper, and I was like, move up buyers, and I used to send those out, and they, over and over, and it's just kind of grown. But I had some nice branding done by I think let me think who did it. Tom gave them to me. It was one of those businesses that started and didn't last that long. And like there were like 10 people that got their branding done. Hold on, Mark Jacobson, right? 1000 watt something.
Mark
Such a
Jacobs.
long time
Mark
ago, but
David,
I
Mark
know.
Davidson from 1,000
Mark
Watt.
Davidson. There you go. 1000
Oh.
Matt,
watt.
we
Long,
Matt, we know
long
him.
time.
Oh yeah, yeah, we know
Oh,
Mark.
you do know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
didn't
So
last long. Okay.
he didn't. Well, that didn't because
Oh,
he
okay.
was.
Hmm.
They all thought, they'd go, they do a little thing, and then we would accept it. But we are painful. I won't be painful directly. I'll just ask you a different way. Well, maybe that's really not. I don't think that really captures how I feel about myself. And I think that it was so painful dealing with us that the first round of us got them, and nobody else ever. So I have used
Company
that
dissolved.
yeah. And my mom is an illustrator, and she likes to draw funny pictures of me. So she draws funny pictures of me, and I use them in my marketing. It's
Literally,
it's
the whole
terrible.
family is just
Yeah, bunch of-
perfect for your business.
I know, this is like incredible.
Well, my mother used to work in my children's store, and she's not exactly friendly. And I remember one time she was working, and this woman said, "I was never so insulted in my life." And I was like, "That's my mother." So it's a good thing that she's drawing behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the
Right.
scenes.
Keep her to marketing.
Well, Jill, I have to say, I truly think you're a fucking genius. I think you're like these
Right.
tips. They're funny.
Tips of
but-
get your family working.
I have always thought about this though, and for you to actually say it, you're a genius. Okay,
Genius.
go bigs or go home. I thank you so much for being on
Go
with us
bigs
today.
and go home.
And go home. Okay, go bigs and go home.
Two bigs in a blanket.
Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have anything you want to promote right now? Big listing. Where can people find you? Do you have like a book out?
Oh my God.
A movie.
Yeah, a movie.
Movie.
An
I'm
app.
working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I am working on my app. Don't ask me
Okay.
what it's going to do. My kid's down in the basement. I think she's growing weed or smoking weed or something, because every time I open the basement door, I think I get high. And I'm like, what the hell? I've had it. Did I tell you all the kids moved back into my house for COVID so they could share the experience with me?
And you have a drug dealer on staff too. This is just.
Oh, you better cut that part out too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that'll be up.
That's unreal. This was
It's lovely.
I really like you, Jill.
You wanted me to say something business.
I like no.
I
This
hired people smarter than me. I learned how to track and measure, right? Because what you track and measure grows, and I keep adding new people. For the first time ever recruiting now. I never did, because I'm planning on world domination, and
Nice.
I got nothing else to do. Since
All right,
I can't go anywhere.
go bigs and go home. World domination.
Right.
That's
That's the
incredible.
plan. Mhm.
Jill.
I'm gonna send you some of that spray.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on, Joe.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jill.
Great to
Bye,
see you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.